This is practice test 3, problem 3J. Now, actually, for 3J, I don't even have to show any work. That's one of my properties. Remember the property that says when you raise, the actual property says the log base b, or no, not that one, says b to the log base b of x is x. That's the property. So what I have in this problem is e to the log base c of 1/3. So what's the answer? 1/3. These cancel, it's 1/3. The answer to 3J on practice test 3 is just 1/3. All right, anybody else have something in practice test 3 that we want to talk about? Tyler. 2. Write the equation of the exponential. So my goal is a times b to the x. That's my goal. This is problem number 2. That's my goal. I have been given a couple of points. And we have discussed many times that we should start with the point that has a 0 in it. So 2/3, this is x, this is y. 2/3 equals a times b to the 0. Right? But b to the 0 is 1. So 2/3 equals a, because this equals 1. Anything to the 0 power equals 1. So now I have an equation that says 2/3 times b to the x. Because I just figured out that a equals 2/3. Some of you have figured out that a will always equal that number. And that's true. It will always equal that number. Now, I'll take this x and y and plug it in. So 3/2 equals 2/3 times b to the 2nd. Just taking this x and y and putting them into my equation for x and y. Now, how do I solve that? Step 1 is divide. Now, I'm dividing by 2/3, which is the same as timesing by 3/2. Do you need a pass, Dave? No, I don't. Thank you. Now, these will cancel. And 9/4 equals b squared, which means b equals the square root of 9/4, which is 3/2. So then I can write my equation. Y equals 2/3, oops, times 3/2 to the x. And we never, ever, ever combine these two numbers, ever. Ethan? 3F. Okay, did you try it, Ethan?
Yes.
What did you do first?
Just divided everything by 2.
Okay, well, we don't divide everything by 2.
I mean, have the exponent of 1/2. Put it in
Well, what does 4 to the 1/2 mean?
2. I mean, 1/2.
What does 9 to the 1/2 mean?
3.
Why does it mean 3?
Because you did 2.
Because it's a square root. This means square root. We're square rooting everything, Ethan. So the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. Now, Ethan, when you raise, okay, I got to take this guy right here to this power also. When I raise something that's already to a power to another power, then I multiply them. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. This will be negative 5/2. This will be 2, and this will be negative 11/2. Because when I raise a power to another power, I multiply the exponents. All right, now what about this? What's going on here? Yeah, these guys need to change places because they're both negative. So I'll have 2xy to the 11/2 over 3x squared y to the 5/2. So now I took care of the negatives. Now what?
Have x on top.
You've got 1x on the top and 2 x's on the bottom. So the bottom has more, 1 extra. All right, so those are taken care of. Now what about the y's? We have 11/2 on the top and 5/2 on the bottom. 6/2 on the top.
Yeah.
So 6/2 3. And there's your answer. I had that one wrong on the key. I've already fixed it for the future, but somebody pointed that out to me already, so I had to fix it. That one's wrong on the answer sheet. Maya, this is the right answer.
I simplified and then I raised
Yep.
the power.
Yep.
So if you're square rooting or you're like rooting any type of variable to a power, you do it
By 2.
Okay, but if it was a 10 30, you divide it.
Yep. 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 All right, anything else? This is your chance, groupies, to ask a question about practice test 3. Anything else about practice test 3? Bryce? 8? See, now we're going to a calculator problem. So tomorrow we got to have our formulas memorized.
We did this yesterday.
We did AC yesterday? Okay, we did this yesterday, Bryce. Did you not get a copy down when we did it? Okay, let me just make up a different one. Okay, let's find the growth constant if 123 germs grow into, I'm making this one up because we already did 8C, and so those of you that were doing it, I don't want you to say problem again, making up a new one that's just like 8C. The growth find the growth constant if 123 germs grow into 456 germs in 8 hours. All right? Which formula? This is a problem like 8C. This is a PERT. How do I know it's a PERT?
It's not money.
Did you say that yesterday?
Yeah.
It's not money. If it's not money, it's PERT. Every time. Is PERT ever money?
Yeah.
One time. What does it say? Compounded continuously. If the word continuously is in there, it's PERT. Otherwise, it's not. All right. Bryce, what goes where? Yep. Yep. Like that? All right, is everybody okay to hear? All right, next step, first step. Divide. So 456 divided by 123. Very, very good. Now, where is the variable? It's in the exponent. That means you're going to need logarithms. You're either going to LOG or you're going to LN. Since this has an E, let's LN. So I will LN both sides. And the really beautiful thing is, what happens right here? Gone. So we have ln 456 over 1, 2, 3 equal to 8r. So all we have to do is take the natural log of 456 over 1, 2, 3 and divide that by 8. Bryce, would you do that with me to make sure we get the right answer? What'd you get? Yes, you are right. You are right. So we would say R equals 0.1638. Or some of you prefer, since that's the growth rate, some of you prefer decimals, percentages, so 16.38%. Doesn't matter to me which way you answer that. Okay, Bryce, you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have a question about practice test 3? Maya. Number 2. We already did number 2. I erased it, but we did it. At the beginning of the period. Anybody else on practice test 3? This is your last chance for practice test 3. All right, let's go to. I think maybe we should. Let's go to practice test 1. Does anybody have a blank in practice test 1? This is your chance to get these blanks filled in. Because they all got to be filled in by tomorrow. And I know we haven't done them all. So practice test 1. Who's got a question? Tim. 3F is another one just like we did here a minute ago for Ethan. 3F is your big exponent simplification problem. All right, so Tim, how did you start this? Squared everything. So if we square, we get 4 and 9. Those are our numbers. Now again, just like before, if you have a power to another power, you're going to multiply. So that x to the 6th, y to the negative 8, x to the 8th, y squared. When you have a power raised to another power, when you got a double power, you multiply the exponents. Okay? Now what happens?
You have to the negative.
Well, you can't deal that can't be there. Now in Ethan's problem, which I erased, we flip-flop these two. I am not going to flip-flop these two this time. In Ethan's problem, they were both negative. I don't know if you remember that or not. So they both had to move. In this problem, only this one moves. It's the only negative one. So you have a situation, kids, where you've already got 2 y's sitting down here. And now you're going to bring 8 more down there. So now we're going to have 10 y's on the bottom. Because 2 are already there and you're bringing in 8 more. Are we done? No, we got one more thing to take care of right here. What happens right here? we're gonna have 2 x's in the bottom, and I am not using any formulas, any tricks, I'm using my brain. I have 6 x's on the top and 8 on the bottom. I have 2 more on the bottom than I have on the top. So I have 2 x's on the bottom left over. Anything else from 1? Katie?
Could you do 4C, please?
4C.
Too long.
All right, this problem is a logarithmic equation. Katie, there's only one logarithm in this problem, so at some point I'm going to have to rewrite it, but first I have to deal with something. What do I have to deal with first? The 3. And you have a choice. You can either do what or what, do you know? You can make it an exponent or you can divide. I'm going to divide. For me, that's easier. So I'm going to say ln x equals 1/3. I'm just dividing both sides by 3. Then I know I have to rewrite this. In order to rewrite it, I have to remember what that stands for. That stands for log base e. This ln x means log base e of x. So when I rewrite this, I will say e to the 1/3 equals x, and that's your answer. That's all you can do. You're done.
Okay.
Ethan?
Could you do 4D?
4D?
Yeah.
How do you start 4D, Ethan?
Divide by 36.
Exactly. So you have 1/2 to the x minus 1 equal to 1/4. 9 over 36 reduces to 1/4. Now, if I don't have a calculator, which you don't on this section of the test, this is 4D, then you have got to make these 2 numbers match. That's the only way you can do the problem. They have to match. Can you make a 1/2 and a 1/4 match?
Yep.
Well,
Squared.
yeah, 1/4, just leave this guy alone, and then 1/4 is 1/2 squared. So then we can say x minus 1 equals 2, so the answer is 3. That was practice test 1, 4D. Anything else?
When is that review? The final?
Tomorrow night, 6:30 to 8.
Okay. So we did wrestling practice a couple days.
What?
We did wrestling practice.
Well, you need to get here as soon as you can.
Is it in here?
Yeah, it's here. Yeah. I have not, I don't remember if I've ever done 4F or not. 4F, let's take a look at 4F. I know I haven't done it today.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Let me look.
Okay, so here we go. When you look at this problem, this is 4F, practice test 1. When you look at this problem, you immediately should see 2 logarithms that need to be put together. How do they go together? They go together as a division. So this becomes this. Okay? Now, as soon as I get these 2 put together, then I have the log of something equal to the log of something else. Well, when you have a logarithm on both sides, This is different than Katie's question a minute ago. Katie's question a minute ago was this. There's only one logarithm in Katie's, so we have to rewrite that. So that's why we went this route. E to the 1/3 equals x. This is a different situation. I'm not going to rewrite this. I'm going to get rid of these, right? And say 3x minus 2 over x equals x. How do I solve that? So 3x minus 2 equals x squared. What kind of equation is that? That's a quadratic equation, so I need to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to say 0 equals x squared minus 3x plus 2. I'm going to subtract the 3x and add the 2. What do you want to do with that quadratic equation now? You can complete the square, you can use the formula, and you can factor it. This one has all options. So it factors pretty handily. So my answers are 2 and 1. Maya?
When you have a number on the outside of your logarithm, that's the exponent to what the base, or?
The exponent, so like if there had been a 2 here, that becomes an exponent on the thing you're taking the logarithm of.
Okay.
Which one? 4C?
Yeah.
Maya, I already did that. That was Katie's problem. Ethan,
4i.
did you try I?
Wait, oh.
What does I say?
Log x.
Well, I know what it says, but I mean, what are you going to do with it? It has one logarithm. So what do we do with an equation that has only one
Wow, I did
logarithm?
not see that.
We'll say x squared equals 9. So x equals 3. Yeah, that's not too bad of a one. Katie?
This works please.
We are doing 4E. Now 4E is going to start just like this other one did. But there's a huge difference between 4E and the one we just did. It starts the same though. What's step 1?
Combine.
Combine. So that's going to become the log of x plus 1 over x. Now, in this last problem, gang, when we combined, we were here. This is what we had. So we dropped the logs out and went from there. When we combine here, this is what we have. Can I drop this log out? No. I have to rewrite it. How does this one rewrite? 3 to the second equals x plus 1 over x. Right? So 9 equals x plus 1 over x. How do I solve that? So 9x equals x plus 1. 8x equals 1, and x equals 1/8. This is practice test 1. We're filling in our blanks. Anything else on practice test 1?
Can you do one for the word problem?
Yeah, which one? We're on practice test 1.
Can you do
B?
Yeah.
Okay, we're on practice test 1. We're doing 8B. Okay, step 1. What formula am I going to use? the long one. So A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. Everybody okay with that? All right, now we're going to plug in. We're on 8B. So we're going to plug stuff in. What do I do? Oh, excuse me. What do I do with the 125?
It goes in P.
It goes in for P. What do I do with the 3.125?
Goes for R.
Now, the biggest mistake that was made on the quizzes yesterday was in putting the R into the problem. When you put the R into the problem, if it says 3.125%, in the equation has to be 0.03125. You've got to put your R in as the decimal, not the percent, the decimal.
So you move it over twice.
Yes. What's N? 12. And I know it's 12 because it says compounded monthly and there are 12 months in a year. And T is 50 years. Am I going to need logarithms to do this problem?
Yep.
Now this is kind of the easiest kind. All I need to do is type it in. So, typing it in, here we go. 1 plus 0.03125 divided by 12 equals, raised to the 600th equals, times 125 equals. I came up with $595.13. Is that what you got, Julia?
Yeah.
Tyler, how long will it take for an investment compounded daily? What formula, Tyler?
The long one.
Yep, same one I just used right there, so I'm not going to write it again. I'm just going to use it. I want to end up with $10,000. I'm going to start with $6,543. The interest rate is 0.01875. Compounded daily is $365. And I want to know how long it's going to take to do that. So take a second and look at what I did there and make sure you're okay with where I put all the numbers into this formula right here. All right, am I going to need logarithms?
Yes.
Yes, I am. Look where that variable is. When it's up high, you're going to need logarithms to pull it down. But first, no logarithms yet. What do I do first? Divide. So 10,000 divided by 6,543. Now, I know you look at that and you start panicking because it's so much. Don't worry, we're going to put it in our calculator anyhow, so it doesn't matter. Don't let it freak you out. What do I have to do at this point? Jared, what do I have to do at this point? I need to take the logarithm of both sides. This is where you have to take the logarithm because you got to get him out of there. So I'm going to take the log of 10,000 over 6,543. and I'm going to take the log of this big parentheses to the 365th t power. Now, what happens with this guy? Now, unlike the E problems, nothing cancels. I can't cancel anything, but I can do something with that exponent. What can I do with that 365t?
Move it to the front.
I can move it to the front. So I have the log of 10,000 over 6543 equal to 365t times the log of this big ugly parenthesis. Now at this point it's almost harder to write it down than it is to actually do it. I want to solve for t. So I want you to take this number right here. Get this on your calculator. Take the log of 10,000 divided by 6543. Okay, you got that number on your calculator? 0.184. Now, that's here. I want to get t by itself. So don't I need to divide by the 365?
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit divided by 365. It equals. Okay, now that's gone. Now, don't I have to divide by this too?
Yeah.
So I'll hit divided by log 1 plus 0.01875 divided by 365. Close your parentheses and hit equals. And you did it. It should be 22.62 years.
I got 2.262.
I don't know what to tell you. Unless maybe you didn't put 10,000 in there because you're off by 10. So maybe you didn't put 10,000.
Divided by the log. Oh, by the 0.184.
You have to divide what? Okay, tomorrow is our test. We have filled in, hopefully, all of practice test 1 and 3.